A very interesting turn of events in this particular matter. You would recall that we returned to this court after Gerard Ackerman had not pitched in court last Thursday. He had then taken the stand 2 days ago, telling this court that he was sick and he had basically had food poisoning. While he was on the stand, the presiding judge, Ismail Mohammed, basically questioning why he did not pitch up at court. But it turns out that on that particular Thursday, when he was due to appear in court, he was moving to Pretoria to go and stay with a friend. He had sold his assets, and he indicated to this court that he was moving there because he could not afford the rent where he was staying. So there were questions about what the bail conditions were. Recall, before there was an application that was brought on Saturday to have the bail conditions cancelled on the basis that he did not appear in court on Thursday, Gerard Ackerman basically moved to Pretoria on the day that he was scheduled to be at this particular court. Also, what we heard from various statements was that he had sold some of his assets. The judge questioning if he was so sick, why he did not go to the doctor on that particular day. It turns out that he'd only gone to see a doctor, according to his version of events, on the Friday. But Gerard Ackerman basically on the stand telling this court that he doesn't remember the name of the doctor, he doesn't know who the doctor is, but can point out where the premises of that doctor are. So what we're expecting at 11:30, the presiding judge will rule on whether Gerard Ackerman's bail has been cancelled or not. The state has basically argued in this instance that he had basically lied. He did not have food poisoning. He did not pitch at court. He does not respect the court. And in that, the circumstances relating to the charges on why he is here should not allow for him to be continued to be placed on bail, even given the fact that some of the statements from witnesses and police officers indicate that at some point, according to those statements, Gerard Ackerman wanted to purchase a firearm, that he wanted to kill himself, he wanted to move to Cape Town, even some versions indicating that he wanted to travel in a truck to Botswana. Those are some of the versions that we're seeing coming inside some of these statements. Of course, his lawyers arguing that the bail conditions had been amended. Recall, when Gerard Ackerman was on the stand, when he was questioned about why he left the jurisdiction of Johannesburg, remember, initially the bail conditions stated that he was not supposed to move beyond the jurisdiction of Johannesburg, and that he was supposed to report to a police station at particular times. He argued, or basically told this court when he was on the stand 2 days ago, that his bail conditions had been amended. This was to the surprise of the state, who said they knew nothing about the changes to the bail conditions of Ackerman, to such a degree that this court even called virtually the previous investigating officer, who told this court he was not aware of any changes to the bail conditions. The previous lawyer who was representing Ackerman told this court he was aware that there were some changes or amendments that were made to the conditions, but shockingly, what we've now heard in this court this morning, that there seems to have been an unprocedural changing of the bail conditions of Mr. Ackerman, in the instance that the state had argued that when the matter was transferred to the High Court, Gerard Ackerman had appeared here in the High Court in October as well as December, but sometime in December had approached the Magistrates Court, which is a lower court, and basically asked that court to amend his bail conditions. Now, the state had argued that was unprocedural, because once the matter had been transferred to a higher court, which was the High Court, the lower court, which is the Magistrates Court, had no jurisdiction to hear that application. The judge seemingly in agreement with that. It seems that the amendment or the relaxation of Gerard Ackerman's bail conditions were done unprocedurally. That is what the state has argued. The defense seems to agree on the fact that there was no jurisdiction on that particular court to relax the bail bail conditions of Gerard Ackerman on the basis that the matter had already been transferred to the High Court. But the judge basically saying, okay, is that the fault of the accused in this particular matter? Because the learned colleague, in this instance, the magistrate, who was supposed to have sight of the fact that they were not supposed to entertain that application, instead went ahead and entertained an application for the relaxation of the bail conditions of Gerard Ackerman, despite the fact that this matter was already transferred to the High Court. So that procedural aspect was what was argued inside this court. The judge, of course, now going to take all of that into account. We'll hear at 11:30 this morning whether his bail will be cancelled or not, but a number of issues been advanced by the state regarding the fact that he's a possible, should be on suicide watch at this particular point, because we've heard statements where there are remarks that he wanted to buy a gun and to kill himself, but his lawyers basically saying, fine, if the court believes that it wants to make a judgment or a ruling on the bail conditions, perhaps change those conditions. But of course, the state does not want that at this particular stage. It seems like we might begin with court proceedings very shortly, Naledi, so you're going to have to let me go. But at 11:30 this morning, we will know if Gerard Ackerman's bail has been cancelled or not.